Hello guys, I'm at the channel. Today I'm reviewing Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Filming at night so lighting's not as good. So, yeah. Not much to say. Well, there's actually a few things to say. So, first one, I have a Instagram, so the link will be in the description below. I had some troubles getting that. There's also a short right here you can check out. Also, I have a community tab now, got given to me or something. I think I'm supposed to have like 500 subscribers or something, but yay. So there'll be a bunch more, like a bunch of the stuff that I would do in videos, specifically like updates. I will be doing community polls now, probably. So no more of that, except unless I like have a lot to say that I don't really want to type. And then also, Stranger Things favorite seasons and least favorite seasons will be on that community tab. Well, is on that community tab currently. So go check out those polls because once I get to my Stranger Things seasons ranked, I want to sort of look at them and compare them. Go check my Stranger Things content after this video. Also, MCU content and video where I talk about the near future, because that's what will be going on this channel. And yeah, I think we can get started. Starting off what this movie's about. This movie, well, it starts off with the death of T'Challa. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately. He passed away. I think everyone knows that, so I don't think that's much of a spoiler. So it has like a little like funeral scene at the beginning, which was handled very well. Anyway, so and after that, sort of all the plot kind of kicks in, where in this case it's about all of the people wanting vibranium, as it's kind of now become like a public thing that Wakanda has housed vibranium and is this really powerful nation, and a lot of other nations are wanting, like France, America. They're all kind of going for it, but then Wakanda won't give it up because they're worried that it could fall into wrong hands and really bad things could happen. And then it kind of kicks off with this scene where like these people invade like there's this boat there, and then people kind of are invading it and then trying to get the vibranium that's kind of underwater. So that happens, and then kind of sparks the whole thing where like there's vibranium loose in the world. Yeah, the plot in this one's like a little scattershot, but it's whatever. Now we have the good, and it's not the good. The thing that kind of impressed me the most, honestly, was just the way they kind of dealt with the whole death with Chadwick Boseman, where they were dealt like a really bad hand because he unfortunately passed away through like right in the middle of production or right in the middle of script writing, or I don't quite know, but the way they just handled it, where like he had like a 20-minute like death like funeral monologue or whatever. I don't think it was that long, but I think, or montage or something, I don't know. I thought that was handled very well. No humor that cuts in the middle. It honors Chadwick Boseman, so does the rest of this movie, and kind of appreciates that he was a very important character in the MCU, and unfortunately, we don't have any more adventures to see him in. So, very well handled. And they just didn't feel a need to make any sort of jokes in this entire movie. Well, there are some jokes in there. There are some really funny ones, but they're not really cutting away from all the tension and the action, and that's how I want my MCU humor. I want it to be there, but I don't want it in the middle of action sequences. Specifically, like I'm looking, good example is the Mandarin or the Trevor thing in Shang-Chi in the final battle, where it cuts to him like twice to just as like a joke, and just kind of cuts the tension. I think it did this in it did this in No Way Home a couple times. Although it cut the tension, but I think the moments worked. And then they did this in She-Hulk. They did this in Thor: Love and Thunder way too many times. So it's like, come on. But this movie doesn't do that, and very glad. Also, I think the overall plot where the vibranium's kind of falling into the wrong hands, and the way all of that plays out, like, I think it's just very well done. So it kind of continues the plot from the first one. Where the first one was sort of about what if the vibranium that was kind of set up as this very powerful weapon was given to or taken to the wrong, or sold to the wrong person, or gotten held by the wrong person, and then it could be used for very bad things. And then kind of continues that, but sort of what if how other nations perceive of it. And I think that whole debate scene, like 20 minutes into the movie, really, well, maybe not that much, but really works. And just the way that the Queen is reacting to everything and how she perceives of it is that she's scared of or concerned about what vibranium could do to the world and how people could be using it, compared to the nations are like, you have this weapon, share it. It's a great resource, and it could benefit the whole world. But she's still thinking to herself, this could be gotten into the wrong hands, or place in the, I don't know. So very well handled. I love how that kind of sort of plotline kind of moves throughout the movie, especially with the Everett and Ross character and what he's trying to do there. It was nice to see the person from Steinfeld again, or Seinfeld. That was fun, I guess. So yeah, overall, very well handled plot. And I think it just kind of worked as a continuation from the first one. Very interestingly done. And the way it kind of intermoves into the villain plotline with Namor, who I think is a great villain. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Killmonger, but he's a great follow-up. Like, he has this whole thing against, like, the human race or the people that live on land, and then wants to stop them, but he really doesn't like Wakanda or whatever, and he just wants to get a hold of vibranium, but he doesn't. But it's not like he wants to take over the world. He's just a guy that sort of doesn't want. It's a bit of an odd motivation, but for the movie, it actually really works. I think his sort of gimmick with him like having these flappy legs is kind of fun, how he can like move really fast, and he does some bad things, but at the same time, like, I think he does have, you could tell he does have a moral compass in there, and how the way everything ends up. I think I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think it just really works. So I think a great villain. I think his gimmick really works. The whole Tolkien people, like, kind of similar to Atlantis and Aquaman, and kind of the plot, the whole underwater plot's kind of similar, just done a little bit differently. And the army battles near the end, I think, really worked. You could see like a whole war forming between these two nations, and the action and production value are so much better than they are on the first one. First one, there's a bunch of these action bits, specifically in like in the final battle with like War Rhinos, where they're like falling into like the vibranium thing. They're the car chase in Korea or whatever. The action sequences are not my favorite part of the first one. It's the villain and the thematic elements. But this one, you have these amazing like wide CGI shots. So I mean you're seeing it in the theater. So I mean, I bet this movie would be great to see in IMAX. So if I go to see again, maybe I will. And there's just these amazing shots of like just beautiful sunsets and just wide screen action. So maybe I don't know if that'll play as well at home, but I think it worked in the theater. So this is definitely what I'd say go see in the theater. And just all the action sequences I'd say stand out for the most part. The car chases are a lot of fun. The Iron Heart action sequences are a lot of fun. It's pretty known that she's in this movie. And I just think the way they handled all of the action was just done well. It's not too overly CGI. I mean, there are kind of CGI battles, but good CGI battles, and I think handled very well. And the score, I'll get to that later. So the Shuri arc, or whatever you want to call it, I think one was handled very well. In the first one, she's kind of the comedic relief. Same with Infinity War to an extent. But this one, they give her a legitimate character arc where she is dealing with the death of T'Challa and is kind of sort of not knowing how to deal with it, because he was a big part of her life, and as just things went on. But the way they handled it, where she is kind of rising up, and spoiler, she takes up the mantle of the Black Panther and is ready to fight these people, these Tolkien people or whatever. So just the way everything just plays out with it, like how she's losing her, well, here, I'm going to spoil this part, because why not? She loses her brother. She loses her mother. She's just gone through so much within like a span of like a year and a half. So like the emotions are brought out through you. You have all the stuff with her banter with Okoye is a lot of fun. She just has great banter with the characters, and I think her arc was just very much needed coming off from the first one, and they did a fantastic job. I think the Queen character, I don't know what the actress's name is, but she does a fantastic job. Like, there are just these moments where like she's just really angry and just brings up so much like passion in the way she talks, and whether good or bad. Like the whole bit where like she's talking to all the nations and is kind of explaining that in like about 20 minutes in the movie. The way that's just done very well, and like the character is just done very nice. I don't know. I think they handled that character very well. Also, the scene, I think this is a complete spoiler. The whole best scene I think in this entire movie is the whole bit where Okoye gets demoted. In the way she just kind of screaming, or not exactly screaming, but sort of yelling with passion at her, where she's saying things that like about in like the first Black Panther, that like where she sided with Killmonger, but because she is a very loyal person to Wakanda. But she's also the Queen is also not wrong about a lot of these things, because technically these are things that Okoye did and that were not good. So very well handled stuff. I love that. I'm going on for a bit too long. So I thought this movie is fantastic. I don't know if it's fantastic, but I thought this movie is great. You should go check it out. Also, one more thing. The Ironheart character, I think they did some great stuff with her. And she didn't like take over the movie, but she's a fun addition to have in there, even though it was kind of like a makeshift Iron Man suit. But whatever, I thought she was just fun to have in there. It's like this really smart person that created this vibranium detector machine, but also worked on this like Iron Man type suit. And she just brings a lot of fun light to it without like taking away from the movie. She doesn't take away the movie, she's just a nice part of the movie. I thought that worked. Now we have the mixed, and the main thing I'm just gonna kind of mix on is just the way the plots kind of interwove. I think they go together well, but like they're interwoven a bit weirdly because they kind of switch between them a bit too far. But like there's not like kind of different things going on. Like there's a bunch of subplots, also like the Nakia plot line. There's the Ironheart plot line subplot. There's the Everett Ross subplot, and there's the two main plots involving the vibranium and the Namor plot line. And they do go well together, but because the movie's a bit long, which I'll talk about that later, I think the overall middle act kind of interweaves them weirdly, and the way they're kind of done, especially as you get to the end, it's like a little because America kind of threatened to go to war with them, so it's like I don't know, but like I think the plots do go well together, but they're interwoven a lot, so I guess mixed. Now we have the bad, and the thing I'm not a big fan of, just kind of two things. First one, I think the score of this movie was odd. Like, there's a bunch of scenes where, like, you hear there's, like, no music in the background. Like, you hear, obviously, all the sword noises and whatever, but it feels like there was supposed to be music, and there isn't. So it's, like, the weirdest thing. I don't know. It really was, like, the weirdest thing out there. So, the score for overall, and then there was these bunches of these scenes with, like, glaring, loud music. And I think when I looked at the first one, the score of the first one I think was actually really good. You have like all the Wakandan culture themes, like where it's like dun 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 dun. I don't know. And I think the way they kind of handled all like the fun themes of music, it was just I think the first one had a great score. This one, on the other hand, not so much. Maybe that goes down to production. I don't know. It didn't really bother me. It was kind of a minor nitpick, but it's something I definitely noticed, and it did feel odd. Like there was totally supposed to be music in some of these scenes, and also the whole thing with the whale, where like they were calling to the people, they fell in the water. That doesn't feel very MCU like, and not in a good way. It was really weird. I don't know. That didn't bother me that much. It was kind of literally last like almost like a minute of the screen time in like a couple different scenes. So I don't know. And then the main problem I have with it was too long. Like cut down like 20 minutes. Maybe not 20 minutes, but like there's a few scenes they could have cut down. Specifically like the middle act, I think kind of went on for a bit too long. And like the whole war with Wakanda is like, well, it's kind of spoiling it, but Namor kind of comes into Wakanda, destroys a bunch of things. You could have cut that down a little bit because I feel like that was done for maybe a bit too long and lasted a bit too long. There was things that just lasted there were just things that lasted too long, and just like they could have just cut down a little bit because it didn't need to be this long, right? And like there's the death of Chadwick Boseman, which you didn't really need to cut down on, but mainly the middle act where like Shuri's captured, Shuri and Riri Williams are captured, Okoye's back in Wakanda, and then the Wakandan people are kind of going mad because of what's going on. So I don't know, they could have probably cut down some stuff, specifically like when she's in Namor base, when you're having like this huge exposition dump, but it's whatever. It's not like the movie like so long, but you do feel the length, I would say. And by the end, I just kind of felt exhausted. I mean, I was tired that night, and I did test the next day, so maybe that's part of it, but I will see this again, so yeah. For this movie's final score, maybe like a 9.2 out of 10. I don't know. I'm trying to think what I give like around a lot of my other MCU movies around like the 8 tier. I think this one might be top 10. I don't know. I think I'm not gonna rank these movies for a little while because I still need some time. I want to go see it again. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh, before I go, check out my Stranger Things poll, because I want to check it out. I might post a Black Panther poll. You never know. Let me know in the comments below if you want that. I might not do it anyways. Also, Stranger Things playlist, MCU playlist, the rest of the channel. See ya. Adios.